Hey, Mr. Bork here, and we are doing percent of change today. So, you may have heard people say things like, oh, stocks rose by 4.2% today, or they decreased by half a percentage point today, or things like that. Or maybe even a science, say the bacteria cluster doubled its size or increased its size by 218%, something crazy like that. So, where are they getting all of these weird percents from? Well, these percents are describing some kind of like a increase or a decrease in either size or some sort of measurement. So, what they're doing is it's actually a comparison. They're comparing the change, the amount, whatever the measurement changes by the original size or original amount. Okay, and if you notice, that's a ratio. Well, sweet. So what we want though is we want the percent of change. We want percent of change. And the percent of change, to define it formally, it's the percent a quantity increases or doesn't always have to it doesn't always have to increase or decreases from its original amount. Right? So we can kind of write this as a quasi formula, and I call it a quasi formula because it's more so common sense than anything else. And if you want to find the percent of change, and I'll just use percent change like so, is equal to the amount of change divided by the original amount. So, and that's kind of the ratio that we said, the change divided by the original. And it makes sense. If you were to measure your height from, let's see how much you grew in a year, well, at the beginning of the year, you would measure yourself. And at the end of the year, you would measure yourself. And the difference between the two would be how much you grew. And you want to compare it to what you started as, right? So say, okay, well, I grew 2 inches this year and I started at 6 feet. Hooray. So that means that you can find a percent change if you do something like that, and that it's natural. Okay, you want to find the amount of change divided by the original amount. So let's do an example real quick. I'm going to switch back to yellow because I like yellow. So example 1. So let's say we want to find the percent increase from 8 to 9.6. So from 8 to 9.6. So we need to find the amount it changed by and divide it by the original amount. Well, the amount it changed by is just the difference between the two numbers. And when we think of difference, that's subtraction. So that's 1.6. And what it started as, well, it went from 8 and to 9.6. So it started at 8. The original is 8. So 1.6 over 8, which is 0.2. But remember, we want a percent of change. So move the decimal over 2 times, and that's 20%. So there's a 20% increase when you go from 8 to 9.6. So, whoops. Okay. All right, so let's clear a little space real fast, not green. Okay. And let's do another example real fast. Okay, so example 2. Back down. My computer is being quite slow. Come on. Well, example 2 is going to say it's going to increase. It's going to start at 4,000. There it goes. Okay, so example 2. There we go. All right, so it's going to go from 4,000 to 8,500. So, like before, we want to find the amount of change, and divide it by the original. And then, of course, we'll convert it to a percent and all that good stuff. So, how much did it change by? Well, what is 8,500 minus 4,000? Okay, well, that's 4,500. And it started at 4,000, went from 4,000 to 8,500. So the amount of change is 4,500. We're going to divide it by 4,000. Okay, when we do that, okay, we get a mixed number, or you can say a number with a 1 in the ones place here. 1.125 is what I got. And we want to convert that to a percent. So let's go 1, 2, and that's 112.5%. So there would be a 112.5% increase when you go from 4,000 to 8,500. Let's do another example. Let's say there's a town, and it's Happy Town. Okay, so Happy Town. And Happy Town has a population of 30,000 people. So Happy Town is 30,000 citizens. When all of a sudden one day, okay, zombies. Okay, and now population of Happy Town is 12 citizens. Okay, no fun. So this decreased by a lot. Okay, zombies attacked, and now there's only 12 citizens left in Happy Town, so it's kind of like Unhappy Town. But we need to find the percent decrease. So let's say the government they're only going to send troops if you tell them what the percent decrease is, because they're the government and they like numbers. So we gotta oblige, and we want to get some help. So we need to find the difference. We need to find out how much it changed by. So 30,000 minus 12. And we divide by what it started as. Well, we started with 30,000 happy citizens in Happy Town. Okay, I guess you can call them Happytons. Okay, and then zombies attacked, and now there's only 12 of them. So 30,000 minus 12, that's 29,988. 29,988. Okay, and we're going to divide that by our 30,000. Okay, and when I did that, I got 0.9996. Whoa. Okay, so let's convert that to a decimal real fast. So 1, 2. And so our final answer should be, and I'm going to write it in magenta because I like magenta, 99.96%. So it was a 99.96% decrease in the population of Happy Town. All right, so percent of change, just remember you're doing the amount of change divided by the original amount, and you'll be able to find the percent of change. Just don't forget to convert to a percent. All right, I'm Mr. Bohoric, and that was percent of change.